Which way should I go? Morning, morning, morning. Guess I go to scenic route today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the live. How you doing this morning? How you doing this morning? It's hump day, great day, hump day, fun day. But you know, today, I like to talk a little bit about as I head on my journey. Another day's journey. I made it through. So listen, this morning I want to talk about walking without fear. Walking without fear. You know, a lot of times, and I thought about this because it's funny how we as people aren't afraid of certain things, but it could be the little things. They could be the little tiny things, the small things that we are afraid of, that we're scared of, that we don't want to. But fear, fear doesn't come from God. If you watch my channel for the first time, you have to know that I'm a believer, and trying to day by day, step by step, brick by brick, make God my foundation. And so, but yeah, the spirit of fear doesn't come from God. That's what I was gonna say. The spirit of fear, it doesn't come from God. If we trust in God with all our heart, all our soul, all our might, then we know that we're protected. Regardless of what happens in our lives, we're protected and we're covered. And so, you know that, and you feel that, you believe it, you start to move different, you start to talk different, you start to walk different. And I wanted to ask the question. What could you be, or what could you accomplish? What could you accomplish? What could you do in your life if you didn't have like negative thoughts, or negative people, for that matter? Negative thoughts, negative people, fear, especially fear. Because a lot of times, people, I don't want to say people, but I say we. I don't want to get confused. I don't want to get twisted. Because I'm in this equation too, like I always say. I point the finger at me first before I come on here, and when I'm speaking, talking, or doing a live, I'm pointing the camera at myself first. So don't think that. I don't think that. It starts with me. It's kind of like me talking to myself, but I'm just recording it. So, but anyway, like I said, where would we be? Or what could we accomplish if we didn't we took fear out of the equation? We weren't afraid. We weren't not afraid to fail. We're not afraid of what people are going to say. Because in this world we live in, and you have to stop. I had to stop. So I'm saying, if you do this, you have to stop as well. Stop putting so much thought on what people say, or people's opinions. Because people's opinions don't really matter at the end of the day. You want the support and the love from your family members and the people closest to you, but even their opinion don't matter at the end of the day, because you have to live with your results, the things you want to accomplish, things you want to have, things you want to do for yourself. Because God only gave us a certain amount of time. Only gave us all a certain amount of time, and the days are numbered. But you have to do, at least attempt to do, or use the gift that God gave you, because we all blessed with them. We all have them. So use those gifts, use those talents to be a blessing, to add value to people on this planet. Change somebody's life. Like I say all the time, and I mean this: a kind word, a kind gesture. It ain't gotta be monetary. It ain't gotta be money. A kind word, a kind gesture, can go a long way with somebody's life. You can change their life. So, walking without fear. Walk without fear. Know you walk. You're God's child, and when you, it's like you think LeBron James kids. I'm using these as examples, but people that have like power, or the president, even the president's kids. You think they walk around worried about somebody bothering them, or they may worry about it, but they protected. I'm pretty much I'm saying they're protected. So I'm saying this as a child of God, you're protected. We're protected as well. We're protected as well. So when you know that, move like it, and it ain't being arrogant. It ain't being cocky. It's just knowing who you are. And when you know who you are, you need to walk like it and talk like it and act like it. And so don't let fear hinder you or stop you from doing what God calls you to do. And even if you at a point in your life, you're at a point in your life where you really don't know, you say, well, I don't know what God called me to do. Well, start walking anyway. When you start walking anyway, God will direct your path. And I read a story about Martin Luther King. He had no plans to lead no civil rights movement. He had no plan at all to do that. He was doing his thing. And so when the time came, he was ready, he was prepared when the time came, because he had been prepared for it all his life, reading and studying and everything else. But he was prepared when the time came, but he had no plan to do that. So I'm saying that to say, start walking. Start walking. Start preparing yourself. And then once that time comes for God to put you in whatever situation you got to be put in, or whatever direction you got to go, you'll be ready to do that. So, that's pretty much all I got. Walk without fear. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. It's good. Sometimes it's good to fail because it helps. It helps. It strengthens you. Because maybe at the time you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do, maybe that's not your calling, but either way, you learn from your mistake. You learn from your mistakes, and if you don't let it break you, then you keep pushing. You'll have success. You'll have success. And I was telling some friends about this, and some family members about, how in the beginning people laughed at me when I tried to tell them I was getting for those that don't know about you for the first time, I got a CDL license, and when I fell and I came back home, they were laughing at me. They were clowning me real bad. And so I say, and I hadn't planned on going back. I was sick in my stomach. I said, shit, I'm not going back. But mom said, nah. I said, you going back? And so here I am, some 7 years later, still using my CDL license. So thank God for my mom and people that believed in me and told me that I could do it. But at the same point, like I say, you have to don't be afraid to fail. My point. Don't be afraid to fail, because if you fail, get back up, let yourself off, and walk without fear, and walk and know that you are a child of God. And if you're a child of God, if you know you're a child of God, then move like it, and don't be afraid of what you can accomplish and what you can do, what success you can have. Success is yours for the taking. It's yours. You just have to believe that and know that and trust that and say, well, God, I don't know the way of the train. I don't know what your plan is for me, but I'm gonna walk without fear anyway, and I'm gonna walk until you direct me where I need to go. Because it's rough traveling. I've done some traveling, some driving, state to state, and it's rough if you ain't got no map. If you don't have no map, you don't know where you're going. You're just driving. But if you keep driving, you'll get where you need to go. It may take you a little longer without the map. But once you see certain signs, and God gives you signs, gives you certain direction, and then you say, okay, God, I got you. I see what you're trying to do. I see where you're sending me. So you have to know that and appreciate that, and move with that. So anyway, happy Wednesday. I think I talked to you off long enough, but I want to come home. That was in my mind and on my heart. Walking and living without fear, because fear isn't real. Fear isn't real. Fear is, you think, I shared a story too. It's not a throwback, it's a throwback story, but I can remember my younger daughter, right? She was scared to use the escalator. So scared to use the escalator. And I got somebody with the stories about, But I'm gonna use this one as an example anyway, because I just came to my mind, I thought about it. But anyway, she was scared to use escalators, right? We was at the mall, and this particular mall has elevators and you go up and down, whatever, you know how the elevators are. And so she was scared to use the elevator, go up the escalator. And so, my mom was like, well, don't. I said, well, let's go up together. We went up together. I went up together one time. Me and her held her hand, went up. And then I let her go. I started letting her go up and down by herself. And then after a while, she wasn't scared no more. So my point is, she was scared. She's scared to do something, and had no reason to be afraid of doing it. So that's what fear is. Fear is fake. You're afraid to do something or try something, but once you try it and do it, you be like, oh, what was I scared of? What was I afraid of? Why did I want to try to do what I was trying to do? So with that, walk without fear. Walk without fear. Move without fear. Know that you're a child of God, and know that regardless, even if you fail, it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. It's okay. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? How you doing? But yeah, it's okay to fail. Where would we be? Where would we be? Or where could you be if you weren't afraid to fail? If you weren't afraid to fail, what could you accomplish? Where could you go? A lot of times, like I said, that hinders us from doing what we need to do. Hey, good morning. What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the live. But yeah, appreciate y'all. You subscribing. But yeah, where would you be if you weren't afraid? If you weren't afraid to try, where would you be? What could you accomplish? Think about that. I remember when I was young, I had a bike and like a tricycle, and the kids made fun of me. And my dad went and bought me a real big bike, too big for me to ride. But it wasn't too big for me to ride, but it was big. But at the beginning I was scared and I fell, hurt myself. He put me back on the bike, said ride the bike. And so he got frustrated. Because I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it, man. I was like, he would run behind me with the bike, and it was just too big for me to ride, so I couldn't get it. So, one day after school, Mom let me go outside and I practiced. I leaned the bike down and pushed my stuff off and rode the bike. And when he came home from work, he saw me ride. He came to the door and saw me riding it, and he just nodded his head and said, "You got it." And so that's what God does. And I'm closing with that. That's how God is. God knows what you can do. God knows what's in you, what you're capable of. But you have to get out of your own way. We have to get out our own way and know who we are and know what God sees in us. Because what we see in ourselves, God sees way more in us. So get out your own way. And know that you have a purpose. You have gifts, you have talents. And be able to what's happening? All right. But yeah, but know that one of my old classmates right there. But yeah, know that regardless, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But know who you are. Know who you are, and know that that's my nightmare story. I have a nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare, Freddy Krueger. But yeah, anyway, hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me cross over here. But yeah, nightmare story. Give me 1 second. I need to turn off here real quick. But yeah. So anyhow, it's getting kind of loud now, but I'm almost in my location, so I want to come on and say what I had to say. I shared what I wanted to share. And so that's pretty much all I got. But be safe, be blessed. Like I always say, tell somebody love them, because you never know when you're going to go. You never know when they're going to go. Kiss the ones you love. You never know when you can kiss them again. And like I said, a kind word, a kind gesture can go a long way. You know, like I said, it's easy to do things for family members. I'm talking about somebody that's outside your family, somebody you don't know. Say something kind, do something kind to somebody you don't know. And you'd be surprised. And you know, that kind word, that kind just could change somebody's life. So with that being said, y'all be safe, y'all be blessed. I'll be singing. And as far as the nightmare story is, my nightmare story is living in a country where you don't believe in leadership, and you got to live in the country every day. That's my nightmare story. Living in a country where you don't believe in leadership, and you don't know what they're gonna do, what they're capable of doing. That's a nightmare story right there. So with that being said, be safe, be blessed. I'm out. Peace.